right, so I think the stream thinking about things ready to go though. So hello everybody, ZardCast here, back at it again to give you another very exciting video. And tonight we got my ZardCast episode 55 to go through and discuss. There's a decent bit of stuff that happened because unfortunately, normally I had this as a bi-weekly podcast, but the last week I think I was out of town, and you know how it is when you travel and stuff, you kind of get burned out or whatnot though. So I just couldn't I just couldn't host it last week though. But here we are again. Thought I wasn't gonna be able to do it today as well, but some last second things popped up, but it just got delayed. But you know what they say, on with the show though. But I ain't gonna be doing this here alone today because with me I got Steven returning once again. How's it going, man?
It's going good.
Alrighty. And you know what? I felt like there's been a decent amount of stuff, at least that happened within these past few weeks. I don't know about you, man, but oh shoot, man. I feel like there's a lot to discuss though. But also shoot, Discord actually did a new little update over here because I can actually do this.
The
I
best
kind of
update they have ever done.
I kind of like how they did that because now I actually can put that mess up in here whenever the stuff is actually appropriate or whatnot. Though, like, I love this little thing. I love it. I
You
love
should
it. I ain't gonna abuse it,
you should
but use
get
it. Oh, go
you
ahead.
should just get like the generic sitcom like laugh track.
Oh gosh, I can't believe I hadn't even thought about that. I probably should do that. There's a lot of different things I kind of want to add to this thing though, but I don't know. I'll take it one step at a time though. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good update. I love that Discord. I love it though. At least when you're actually working and not busted or whatnot though. Alrighty. Well, we got some decent amount of stuff, pop culture stuff. And it's gonna be very light on that. And I only got like a handful of gaming stuff. Yes, I know that there's a few other events that actually kind of happened within the past few weeks. I'll just make a nod to it though, but I hadn't invested too much time up in it though. But let's go ahead and jump up in it though. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump straight up into that pop culture segment. All right, and surprisingly, not a whole bunch of stuff is going on in the pop culture world, but I did want to kind of make a note for this though, because we did manage to get a teaser trailer for the Marvels. I don't know if have you seen it yet, Steven?
I
The
have
little teaser
not,
trailer?
but like
Huh.
I I swear they did like two. What is it? The one where
No, no, no. I say
Captain
it's a te
Marvel is like summoned and gets angry
kind
almost.
kind of ish. I mean, this is technically our first trailer for the Marvels. We hadn't gotten anything until they actually dropped this first one. Like this was our
Oh,
first
I
look
thought.
at it.
Oh, okay. I swore we had something else before this. Guess not.
No, yeah, this was our first one, and literally when I was looking at this, I was like, because at first I was kind of, because to me, honestly, when I saw the first Captain Marvel movie, it was okay. It wasn't my favorite movie, but it kind of was at the bottom tier or whatnot, though. But I think not only just having Carol Danvers up there on, with her, this being her second movie or whatnot, though, but the fact, yeah, Captain Rambo as well as, Miss Marvel over there, though, and you're gonna have these two characters to play off of as well. I think that's gonna kind of equalize, Carol Danvers' powers and whatnot, though. Because obviously we know her as being technically like the strongest Marvel superhero, though. But when she's kind of being nerfed by this weird kind of occurrence that's happening between all three of these, I think that's going to add a nice little balance and blend. And the fact that, I guess the development for all, it's not gonna be just on her, it's gonna be on the other two as well. I think it's gonna provide some pretty good comedy, some nice little interactions and whatnot though. Because actually if you sat down and watched the Miss Marvel Disney Plus series, I actually love that character. Like I like her upbringing. It's kind of the closest thing we kind of had to Spider-Man in terms of kind of a relatable character that we can actually kind of associate with. I thought that was a Disney show that was did right in comparison to She-Hulk. Gosh dang, oh shoot. But
Yeah.
but
Let's not talk
honestly,
about
I really
She-Hulk.
love it. I really love it. But since you hadn't seen the trailer, Steven, I guess the big thing is because wait, have you seen Miss Marvel or no?
I have not seen Miss Marvel, but like I don't need to see it to know what it is. I know
Well,
that
they
doesn't.
kind of tease how the very end of that series ended, kind of led into why things are happening for this movie right here. That's why I was just wondering, because I don't know if you happen to see that clip at the end.
I don't know. I just know that like Captain Marvel is either like summoned into her room or something happens, right? It's
Yeah,
something
so
along those lines.
yeah, because at the very end of the Miss Marvel series, it was like she was in her room, and then all of a sudden Carol Danvers popped out, and she was like, "What the heck?" But apparently, it's weird because it's like when any one of them started using their powers, they started switching spots with each other. Like at the very beginning of this trailer, Captain Rambo was out in space, and then she kind of got close to something out in space, and then boom, she switched spots with Miss Marvel, and then she was over here like, hey, is this an Avengers test? All of this, like getting really excited and whatnot. I don't know. This put a smile on my face. I kind of like that little reaction though, doing that in front of Samuel L. Jackson though. But that was pretty cool. Doing that in front of Nick Fury though. And then so basically, it's like anytime they use their powers, they're switching spots with each other, and that's why you kind
Okay.
of saw that. It's just weird. I don't know
So
why the reason they're doing that, but for some reason their powers are kind of intertwined, and I
did she
that's all
get
we
her
kind of know.
powers from? Did she get her powers from Captain Marvel?
No, it was like in her show. Wait, which one are you talking about? You talking about Miss Marvel?
Miss Marvel, because I know, yeah,
Yeah,
obviously Captain Marvel got her power from the Space Stone, but that's gone s-
she got it
kaput.
from like a weird old family. It's like a bracelet thing, but that's where she
I,
kind of got her powers from. That's
what
it.
Captain? Wait, no, Captain Marvel or Miss
No, not
Marvel?
not no
Because
Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel. They kind of did it a little differently from the comics, but she got it from some kind of bangle. I think that's the official term for it, like a bangle or whatnot.
I get it. Yeah, I get
Yeah,
what you're
you have
saying
to
there.
actually watch the series or see a good summary to kind of see, because they did it a little differently from the comics. I didn't find it necessarily bad because I remember people were kind of like, well, why didn't she just look like she's kind of stretchy versus this kind of like the CGI effect they had on it? It was kind of like a little plasma kind of
Yeah,
sparkly kind of. It's hard to describe it, whatever you want to call that thing.
people wanted the stretchy one just because I don't know. And to me, it personally just looks more appealing.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it kind of looks more appealing though, but I didn't think the way how they did it in this one is that bad either.
Well,
I
to
mean,
be fair, I
I could
haven't
roll with it
seen
one
it.
way or the other. Where, yeah, you kind of have to see it to kind of know it. And at first, I thought it would be jarring, but it wasn't that jarring though. But honestly, this movie right here kind of did a 180 for me because at first we knew it's Captain Marvel 2, now it's called the Marvels, and seeing these three interacting with, I think there's a lot of potential for it though. I really do. So honestly, I think this is gonna be one of the more enjoyable movies, at least that we recently got, though. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I want to say on the Marvels, though. However, we do know that yes, the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is going to be coming out this weekend. Honestly, I looked at the calendar and that one kind of snuck up on me. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, wait a minute, it's out this weekend? I was like, bro, I have to go and try to, pick my seats
Yeah,
out and whatnot, though. I don't know if I'm gonna see it on Friday or sometime this weekend. I'm gonna try to shoot and get out there to it though. But I know this one's gonna be a good one, and it might tug on some of my strings because I'm like, I don't know, because I felt like this is like one of the best little mini groups that we had with a bunch of heroes. Probably the next closest thing to our like classic Avengers group, like Tony Stark, Cap, Hulk, Thor, all of them. I feel like this is the next closest group of heroes that we kind of have right here. Just these Guardians of the Galaxy though. So I don't know. I'm gonna kind of miss them when they're gone, but it does seem like this is gonna be the last movie of that series.
yeah, probably. But like, it was fun while it lasted. It's the way I'm gonna see it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you got to take it one step at a time. Alrighty. Well, that's pretty much it in terms of my pop culture segment. Pretty light
I
little
do have
segment
one.
there. Oh, go
Oh, I
ahead.
have one thing I was gonna say about Miss Marvel. I think the way, because I don't know, they're not gonna change her character that they've established from like her movie and Endgame. I don't necessarily like her character, but one thing they could do that I personally will like, which I think they're gonna work on, is just giving her unique, fun characters to bounce off of. If she's gonna be like the straight faced, no nonsense, then at least give her funny characters to react to. or just give her more personality. I think they should do what they did with Thor to Captain Marvel, just make it a little bit more lighthearted, or at least have her process things a little more lightheartedly.
Oh yeah, I feel like yeah, there might be some ways how they can kind of shake up her character at least a little bit though, like what you said, because
Oh, there is.
we
Yeah.
thought we knew Thor until you got Thor Ragnarok. That just kind of flipped everything up on its head, and it's still like that dude's still gonna have some movies coming out though. So I think there's ways to kind of improve her character because it's the only thing I kind of don't like just in storytelling as a whole. Whenever a character reaches their peak it is very hard to develop them or make you kind of feel even more attached to them without them having some kind of tragic downfall. Like one idea I'm just thinking of, since we're already talking about superheroes and stuff like that. I'm literally thinking back to an anime right now with My Hero Academia. Literally,
Oh
All
my
Might, at
God.
least with him in his prime, as long as he stood there in his series, in his prime, and not losing like his actual superpower, or whatnot, though, that dude was probably gonna be remain unbeatable or whatnot, though. Like, how could you develop, Zuko Midoriya, who's as a rising star, who kind of gained that and inherited, should I say, that power, one for all or whatnot, though. But then when he had his tragic fall, and he can't do all the stuff he used to that allow you to kind of get closer to that character again because he had a tragic fall. It's like when characters hit that peak it is very hard to really develop them, and that's why I don't want to see Captain Marvel basically hit as well. Man, I was almost about to think of something else though too. Oh, Goku, I was almost thinking about him as well, with him doing like this whole ultra instinct thing and whatnot. I feel like that's gonna be really hard, and I felt like maybe you got to pull another character or something like that to kind of get back in the rhythm and flow. And I like how I keep thinking of stuff. And then I also thought about Ash Ketchum and with the Pokemon Company. They ran with that dude for like 20 plus oddball years, and they finally decided to bench that boy and bring in a whole new character because we almost felt like we knew that character as well. So you kind of get my point. When you're at your all time high with how strong you could possibly be, there is a ceiling for everybody. And once you hit that ceiling, there ain't much more room for growth. But you kind of get where I'm coming from, right, Steven?
I get it. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's my little soap opera on Captain Marvel. That was that was my main hang up for it though. But anything else on this, Steven?
Nah, just the MCU is on a decline. Well, it's been on a decline, and I'd love to see it, get good again. But
No, I think
I'm
it
holding
was
my
on a
breath.
decline. That was the reason why they decided to push some of these movies back. I think Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was the last one that they kind of already had most of it in concrete, written in stone. Everything else, that's why we had another delay, and because this was originally supposed to come out in July, and they pushed back. They started looking back at all the rest of the movies to make sure that it's getting back up to snow because I think they heard that outcry, especially with some of the Disney Plus shows. They started hearing that outcry. I think She-Hulk was like the slap in the face, like what the heck are we even doing? We know that it was supposed to be kind of a little bit different with its comedy though, but still it didn't feel like really impactful or whatnot though. So hopefully, knowing all of this, I think Guardians of the Galaxy is kind of the first test, but we kind of know that with that same director, it's still going to be fairly good. I don't think there's going to be anything off with it.
Of
So
course it is.
the real test is when we see the Marvels movie. We'll get a really good feel of had they got their pizzazz back, which thinking this one should be solid in itself. The fact that you have Miss Marvel there, I don't think it's gonna be terrible, but we'll see.
Just like just looking at looking at this movie, because we're talking Guardians Volume 3. It looks like everything besides the villain is going to be interesting. Like, that's the only thing about that movie.
I mean, we barely might have saw the villain in that sneak peek.
But
I can't even officially say that that was the villain. I don't know. There wasn't enough for
he's
me to
in
grasp on to.
no, we know a villain. It's what is it, the name High Evolutionary or whatever his name is. That's if you mean Adam Warlock, then yeah, he's also in the movie.
Hmm.
I don't know. Guardians Volume 3 just seems like there's a lot more moving parts going on that could be developed. And also, the Guardians movies still do a pretty good job at developing their characters, but also not feeling too focused on the whole MCU. just a little
Oh,
section of it.
yeah, because that, yeah.
It feels like after Endgame, they're just constantly trying to find ways to either make the scope too small or make the scope, so big, like multiverse this, multiverse that, because that's the only way they can go after Endgame, which they kind of wrote themselves into a hole.
Think it's the only way they can go. But with the enemy that they're trying to bring up with King to Conquer, that whole theme of it is a multiverse thing. So that's just what they decided to go with for this saga. And it's gonna be interesting
Yeah,
how it's gonna be different from the Infinity Saga where we had like what, two different Avengers movie before we had the Infinity's War and Endgame versus this
yeah.
one where we're just having a bunch of different series and them doing their own solo adventures, and somehow miraculously we're gonna throw them all together in one Avengers movie, and then have like a couple movies in between, and then have another Avengers movie right after that. So it's gonna be like it's gonna be like Affinity War Endgame kind of back to back, but it might not obviously be to that same kind of scope and feel because shoot, we don't even know how all these suckers are even gonna interact. Like for example, if they're gonna say that She Hulk is supposed to have some kind of dominance or something like that, in the Avengers thing, I'm like, what the heck? Like, she barely got top trained to even use her powers and whatnot. I don't know.
I
It's
don't.
gonna be weird little things like that. So I don't know how they're gonna play it all out, but we'll have to see.
I think the MCU just got a little tiring because of how many TV shows came out all at once that they expected you to watch. And then the movies started connecting to the TV shows. Like, I don't know, like stuff like the Marvels. You just gotta watch, just watch Miss Marvel and watch Captain Marvel, and you'll probably get it, and that's it.
You might have to see
Maybe WandaVision.
yeah, you might have to see a little bit of WandaVision just so you're not confused on the character herself.
But like, you could just make the assumption, oh, it's the same last name as the person from the first Captain Marvel, probably their daughter or something.
Hmm.
You can make that assumption.
Yeah.
Like, because not everything has to be explained so much. Like, for example, that's why I like the Guardians movies. Oh, what were they doing in between? I don't know. They were just doing whatever.
No, yeah, because I mean the first two Guardians movies, it's like they didn't make it like a
Yeah.
crazy in cutscene that kind of delve into all of that because they have both of those first two movies before then you jumped into Infinity War and Endgame. Then you jump back down to Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 3. So
Like, yeah, like all in all, I'm cautiously optimistic for where the MCU is headed.
yeah, I mean, because Phase 4 was rough. It wasn't my favorite one, but we're just now getting into Phase 5. Phase 5 officially started off with Ant-Man. So I say that one was good. That was solid. I didn't have any qualms with it though. And we'll see with these
I
next few movies whether or not,
I would
if they can still
I
hold up to just a standard level.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Ant-Man really set up Kang as like a great villain. However, like they kind of he's kind of weak in that movie. He loses to a bunch of ants.
I mean, kind of,
I
yeah, but at
know,
the
I know, they're
same time,
super
that's I guess that's not
advanced. I
technically the
know.
real one that we're gonna be worried with. It's kind of weird when you kind of sit down and think about all of this. Like,
Yeah,
shoot, I could almost have a full-on discussion,
I feel
Marvel
like
discussion.
the
But
movie. Yeah, like it's interesting. Probably don't want to talk about Marvel for too long. It will give me a headache.
all right, well, that's probably the most I talked about in a hot minute, though. But all right, I'll give you
Yeah.
that one. All right. So that's pretty much it in terms of all of our pop culture segment stuff, just that one thing. But we just decided to go on a Marvel tangent for the moment, though. Oh, goodness. All right. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and switch over to the next topic, that being that gaming news. All right, so first on the docket, we got here that apparently Nintendo is going to be doing some kind of thing that it's almost kind of similar to a PAX East, PAX West kind of thing, like a Comic Con kind of event, but not really that extreme though. But they're having a Nintendo Live that's going to be around the Seattle area, and literally you can go over here. You can either play some games. There's going to be some tournaments going on or whatnot. Though I think they're going to have some demos of their game, etc. Though, and which I think is the first time we're having this event here in America. Because I think I remember in 2022, I remember there were some reports going around that yes, this was going to be an event that happened over there in Japan as well, and it kind of made me think, well, maybe they might have it over here for America though. But I don't think necessarily looking at this, it will be like extremely important for people to kind of make a long road trip compared to like a PAX East and PAX West that you might normally do for those two events though. But if you just happen to be over there in that northwest side of the continental United States, then it might, be appropriate for you though. Because yeah, there's gonna be Switch gameplay, stage performances, tournaments, photo ops, and more. So yeah, at face value, this is a nice little event, but it ain't nothing crazy. You got anything to say on this, Steven?
Yeah, it's not E3, but like you could pretend it is. That's all I could think of saying is, let's just pretend it's E3. That might be fun.
Yeah, that is true because we don't have E3 this year though, but I guess it literally that might have been the closest thing to it. Obviously, without like brand new announcements. Don't expect brand new announcements out of this event. I can
Yeah, we're
certainly
not
say
getting
that.
nothing new.
No,
We're
yeah,
not
we
getting
ain't.
anything new.
Yeah, nothing
But
new.
hey, it doesn't have to be anything new. It can just be a fun little event for families, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, because I feel like, and I can go ahead and give this out right now. What is this? This is late in September. They might have a Pikmin 4 little demo thing, even though you technically will be able to play it at that point. Same thing with Tears of the Kingdom. That might technically be out there. Maybe Advance Wars. That'll be it. Maybe I don't think or know if there will be anything else there. It depends on whatever new games they might actually have announced before this event, whether or not they'll have demos and stuff up for that. Tournament wise, I fully expect there's probably gonna be a Splatoon 3 tournament over there. There might be a Smash Brothers one. We'll cross up. It's been a while since I seen Nintendo do like a Smash Brothers Ultimate turn. It's been a hot second. Oh shoot. And then in terms of like live stage stuff, you know how like they do those like weird Splatoon concerts over there in Japan, Steven?
Yeah, and hey, that'd be cool to have over here. At least just one of them.
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe they might have something like that. That's at least the most I kind of expect with it, though, but nothing else too crazy beyond that. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's basically it in terms of Nintendo Live. I just want to kind of quickly report about it. Nothing crazy though, but it is kind of nice that we have a little more options in terms of official events that maybe Nintendo's actually hosting. Though we'll see how big these things get. If it gets big enough, who knows? They might not just do it in the Seattle area. They might bring it somewhere else. Like, come on, Nintendo! Like, y'all hardly host any events where I'm at right now. You lucky, Steven. You're over there off of the Northeast. So if they're doing anything
You
in New
say I'm
York,
lucky.
then yeah, you
You,
could.
yeah, okay. When you say it like that, yeah, you're kind of right. But like, at least for me, because I'm not in the city. But the one event I did go to was when the Switch was revealed. Like, January, like right after that presentation, I went to like one of the first events where you could try out the Switch.
Oh, you. Oh, I didn't even know that. You didn't even tell me that.
I swear I've said that before. It was cool
No.
because I didn't recognize them obviously, but I bet there was like tons of YouTubers and stuff there, and I just never knew them.
Hmm.
It
No.
was
Yeah.
like, and I played 1-2 Switch. I played Snipper Clips. It was fun.
Did you play Breath of the Wild back then, or was that like a stupidly long
No,
line?
that's the one thing I'll regret. I didn't wait on the line to play Breath of the Wild. I should have.
Oh, I bet you that was
Some,
a stupidly long wait, bro.
oh, of course it was,
Goodness. No,
but
because I
like
think the only
it
other
was
event
worth
that
it.
I was able to get to and play was what was it? In the lead up to Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, and I was just lucky by chance. I was in college at the time though, and they did like that touring of Smash Ultimate. Like they'll go to different places where they're having college game day football games or whatnot. They just happen to stop um by University of Arkansas because my Razorbacks were playing some team at the time. I can't even remember what team we were playing though, but they happened to show up and actually bring their like it was like a big trailer or whatnot. I was trying so bad to win a T-shirt. They had like a T-shirt and a hat or whatnot. Though the only thing I was able to walk away with is a lanyard, which I still had that over there, like with all my Nintendo collection stuff or whatnot. Though, but I did manage to play Smash Bros. Ultimate early. I think that was like roughly in September it happened. So I think I got my hands on it about like what 3 months early, and I was actually able to play Ridley at the time. So if I technically was doing YouTube back then, which I don't think I technically was, I could have gave my thoughts on Ridley because he was the first newcomer I actually got to lay hands on though. But that was
I
my closest and
still,
only event I had with Nintendo.
yeah, I still really like how Ridley plays. Everyone treats him like trash now.
No, yeah, which it's kind of sad because I think between him and King K. Rule, I mean, King K has a little more things going for him. I don't know. It's a little upsetting though because I remember everybody was hyped for that man to get up in there, and then it's like that nobody wants to touch him now. I'm like, okay, okay, okay. We'll see how it is. All right. But yeah, so I guess that's pretty much it in terms of Nintendo Live stuff. So let's go ahead and roll over to the next topic because apparently Steven, I don't know where they got this money from, but apparently Sega had $1 billion sitting around somewhere. It might have been in the back of
Uh,
somebody's bank, had like a bunch of cobwebs on it, because I don't know Sega's strategy and business decision half the time though. But apparently they're I don't know. Well, I don't know if it's officially in stone yet, or they got to go through a few more
it
approvals
is.
though.
It is.
But yeah, they're essentially buying Rovio or Rovio, that's how you say it. The
Yeah.
people that made Angry Birds, and they're trying to buy them. And honestly, when I look at that at face value, I'm like, I guess they're trying to do more things in the mobile market because that's what they're really known for. And I'm like, I'm really scratching my head, like outside of them maybe trying to do things more so with mobile. I'm like, bruh, you're not gonna be willing to spend $1 billion to buy this company, and yet you could have been doing a whole lot more things with I say your main character Sonic or whatnot though. It could have been
All
porting,
right.
bringing more of your games
So
over, like messing around with the Persona stuff a bit. Well, I mean, come on now.
So I'm just gonna say this. I don't like. It's not like them buying Rovio is going to make their other game output any slower. If anything, it's going to be the opposite. Because it's not like Rovio is disassembling and then being replaced by Sega. Like Rovio is still going to work on all the Angry Birds games. It's just going to be owned by Sega now.
Yeah,
It's not
which
really that much of a difference. Which
who even
I'm
plays
going to
Angry
say
Birds
that.
anymore?
Okay, listen, Zard. Just because you don't, it does not mean that, like, they're trying to capture the casual audience here, which is not a
Oh,
bad idea
filthy
for money
casuals,
making
man.
wise. Think about it like this, Zard. You pay $1 billion, but then you own one of the most money making mobile game franchises out there, and you know how much money those mobile games make, Zard.
Oh, I ain't gonna deny
I
that.
think
I know that.
I think Sega's playing the long game and they're playing it extremely well. Here is what I think. I think they bought this studio so they have access to the mobile game market. You can now say that you own the studio that made Angry Birds. If you make like a new mobile game, you could like advertise it as, made by the studio behind Angry Birds. You could have an Angry Birds crossover to drum up like, drum up stuff about the game. You can do tons of stuff. Just connecting it to Angry Birds gives it infinitely more publicity. And also, let's just say if Sega needed to make a mobile game or use its resources, they could. They have a studio that has specialized in making mobile games for, I'm pretty sure, over 10 years now.
Well,
Like,
yeah,
it's really not that bad of a business. It's really not that bad business wise.
yeah, it's not bad business wise them leading into that mobile market though. But I'm like, dang, I was like, if y'all gonna lean that much into that, at least fix up your home console side of things. Or I say home console, take that back.
They
Your
should
third
not make
party
home
game
consoles
side
again.
of things. I mean, yeah, not like they're
Making
ever gonna
home
whip out a
consoles?
dream. Not like they're gonna whip out a Dreamcast 360 something on us. No, I don't expect that.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about their IPs and what platforms they're bringing them on and stuff like. Because they have like a large back catalog, but they don't really take advantage
I
of
don't
it.
know.
And
All I'm gonna say is they would basically be asking for failure if they ever try to do a home console again.
no, I'm not asking for them to do that. No, that would be ludicrous.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they should not do that. They would actively be hurting their fan base and their probably just their income by going back to home consoles because they're not going to be able to compete against, because here's the thing. they're either gonna try to compete against Nintendo and make, a family friendly system, or they're gonna be competing against Sony and Microsoft at once, which they also are not gonna win that battle. It's
No.
just a bad idea to do. If anything, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, really all of them don't focus on their handheld not handheld. All of them really don't focus on the mobile market as much as art. If anything, it's honestly the only market they can monopolize now.
I mean, yeah, because even Nintendo kind of dialed back their stuff. Because like, since then, like, what they shut down
Yeah.
the Dr. Mario thing. They shut down Dragalia Lost. The only things they're
Super
really
Mario
running.
Run is the only thing that I care about.
Yeah, because the only ones that they have is, ones that are still making money is like Mario Kart Tour. That's like second place, and the big juggernaut is Fire Emblem Heroes. Like that's their bread and butter. Like they keep supporting that game to the very end. That's gonna be the longest running one for them because the way how they got
Yeah.
that gotcha system set up, they just got a lot of people hooked on it. They had me hooked on it for at least the first solid year that it was out, and then I just kind of dabble with it here and there when I got like a Fire Emblem itch or whatnot. But yeah,
Well,
so
it's a
it
good thing it's there for that. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, we'll see how Sega kind of capitalizes on, them buying this studio and see where they can kind of go. The one thing I will say, which honestly, now that they bought this studio, they'll be absolutely crazy if they don't do this. This is just an idea, Sega, because
I
this
know
will
what you're
get you
saying.
ludicrous
Please.
of money. If you literally make a mobile app that's based on the Child Garden, the same stuff you're able to do in Sonic Adventures, or like Sonic Adventures 2, and be able to raise your child up, interact with them, raise them, get their stats up high, have them compete in events. If you did something like that and shoved it in a mobile game, that will literally print you money. You could pay me how much ever you want to get that idea off of me, but I give you that one strategy, Sega, and holy shit, you're gonna have something that's kind of equivalent on, Fire Emblem Heroes. I'm just saying.
So I'm gonna say this in the nicest way possible. The fact that they haven't done it yet just makes me doubt that Nintendo knows. Not Nintendo. The
Sega.
fact, the fact that they haven't done it yet makes me just think they don't know how to make money. Because really, you really just don't understand how much money that prints. Like not even just for Sonic fans. Chows just have that cutesy design that would just sell anything.
Yeah, that would tap into that casual market big time. I'm just saying.
They don't understand that for some godforsaken reason. Make Chow games. People want Chow games.
I kind of miss that Child Garden. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, me and Sonic Adventure 2, me and my brother was putting so much time up in that thing. I mean, obviously we're playing the base game though too, but we put a lot of time up in that Child Garden though too. Like, holy shoot, bro.
I
Yeah,
don't know who
man.
didn't like the Chow Garden. Is a better thing to ask.
Oh yeah, that's the better question right there.
Anyone who didn't like the Chow Garden is lying to themselves.
Mm. Oh, good gracious. I don't know. I don't want to sit here kind of pulling my hair out with Sega's dumb decisions or whatnot, though. I feel like I could run that company better. And I don't know that much, but I know enough to at least get some money printed. That's all I'm saying, though. I can bring in that bag and I can bring in that bread, though. I'm just saying, though. All right. But
I don't doubt it.
I guess that's pretty much it in terms of that one. So let's go ahead and roll over to this other one. This will be some little bit of quick news. I did want to kind of mention it though, because yes, we do have the next Splatfest confirmed for Splatoon 3. And it's with their try Splatfest, you got three different options. This one's, a crossover with The Legend of Zelda, because we do know that yes, Tears of the Kingdom is gonna be coming out not this upcoming weekend, but the next weekend though. So at the time the Splatfest drops, it's gonna be like 1 week until it's launched though. But it's like, which one do you prefer? And it's kind of dealing with the Triforce: power, wisdom, or courage. And I feel like this one, in comparison to like the last one, whatever that last one was, I feel like this one's gonna be more of like an equal footing. Like you're gonna have a good spread between all three. But at least for me, I chose power. What about you, Steven?
Power all the way.
At least with power, I feel like that's gonna definitely be the fan favorite vote, at least with all of this though. And it's not just that. We did manage to get some cool things that were gonna be confirmed, as well as like physical stuff. Like there's gonna be like some kind of keychain that's gonna drop, and you're gonna be able to get that from My Nintendo as well. and it hasn't dropped just yet, or at least at the time we're doing this podcast though. But eventually, that will be able to get you'll be able to redeem that as an actual reward. But also, you're able to buy some merchandise. Yes, you're able to actually buy the actual Splatoon Splatfest shirts from the Nintendo store. It is an exclusive thing. And knowing me and how I kind of like my Splatoon merch and whatnot, though, I actually bought all three of the T-shirts. I think they're actually going up for like $30 MSRP, but I bought all three. At first, I was thinking that I was just gonna stick with the Ganondorf one because it was like black. It kind of looked cool. But then I started looking at the other two. I was like, might as well get these because I actually had the Splatoon 2 crossover ones with the what when they did that Splatfest, the Mushroom versus Star. So now I got all five of these shirts though, and they look really nice. They do look really clean. I will say so myself though. And I was asking you, Steven, would you be willing to get it? But I think you just say you just don't got the funds. Was that right?
Yeah, well, it's not that I don't have the funds, but it would be unwise of me to spend the funds on it, if that makes sense.
No, yeah,
At least at the
that
moment.
makes sense. Yeah, at least at the moment. Which, fingers crossed. As long as they don't technically sell out of these real quick, they might still technically be up in the store. Because I remember at the time when they did the Mushroom and Star Power one, I think whenever they did that crossover, that one kind of sold out fairly quick because that was also 2020. Yeah, that was 2020, I think, when all that mess was going down. So yeah, so you had the logistics with COVID and all of that stuff. So that was kind of backpedaling you a little bit though. And then on top of that, just with it being the Mario anniversary, people were just trying to scrap up all that stuff left and right though. Eventually they did restock it. So you were able to get it a little later on though. So I don't know, fingers crossed. If it sits in there long enough, you might be able to pick up whichever one you want a little later down the road if you still want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of that, there's not too much more to say on that. I was just saying that. So hopefully I can finally win a stinking Splatfest because I think out of all the Splatfests I participated in up until this point, I have not been on the winning team. I either been in the one that's been a close second or just got completely blown out like the
What did
Bigfoot
you
one that
choose
most
last
recent.
time?
No, last time I chose Bigfoot. I knew I probably wasn't gonna win it
Oh,
though, but I still wanted Bigfoot. And the
well, that
one
was
before, what was the one before
yeah.
that one?
I don't know. There was the Pokemon one a while ago, but that wasn't the most. Uh, Damn it.
What was what? Oh no, I chose fire, and that one got like second place. I think water somehow won that one. I was like, what the heck? And then the one
No,
before,
okay, no, no. Water was a landslide, Zerd.
yeah, no, they completely sweep the whole thing. I was upset with that. And then
All right, so we
I can't
had
remember the one before that.
gear, we had gear, grub, and fun. Gear one,
I
obviously.
chose fun on that one. I think, yeah, and
Uh,
then Bronto,
grass,
yeah.
fire, water one.
I chose fire. I was like, bro.
Spicy, sweet, and sour, and
And I
sweet
think I
one.
chose spicy on that one, and somehow sweet won. I was like, what the heck?
D- Dark chocolate, milk chocolate, and white chocolate. White
And I chose
chocolate
milk
one, which I
chocolate, and
still
I don't know
don't
how
get.
white chocolate got it, bruh.
Those pieces of garbage.
Man, those pieces of garbage, man. Like what the heck?
Exactly. I agree.
Oh, good night.
How
And
could they do
then,
that specifically to me?
and then the most recent one we had was what was that?
What the
Didn't we just
Bigfoot
say?
aliens
Yeah,
and
Bigfoot,
Nessie and
aliens,
Nessie,
and Nessie, and I think
Nessie
Nessie
one.
won. Yeah, which I thought
Yes.
aliens was going
All right.
to, but I guess not.
So I think courage is gonna win, but I'm choosing power and sticking with it because Ganondorf's cool,
Oh yeah, he's
and
cool. I give it.
nothing's gonna stop me.
Yeah, so I feel like yeah, he's I feel like Ganondorf is gonna technically come out of this one on top. Let's keep it a buck 50. It's gonna be between power and courage. We'll see how many other people actually decide to side with Link, but I think it's gonna be literally between them two. But I don't know. But the fact that we're also getting a very cool, unique stage with this one as well, which in times past it's just been some kind of stage that's big enough to where they could kind of do the
Keep
tricolor splat. But
doing
the fact
this.
that this one's kind of built on the Triforce, that's gonna be really cool. So I am gonna enjoy it.
That's the thing. That's the thing. I don't even care if it's actually balanced. It's something new.
Cause I do miss those
Like
shifty
yeah, like
station things we got from two.
yeah. Like the shifty stations weren't always good, but guess what? They were fun. They were new. They were unique. I didn't play a shifty station because I thought it was going to be the most balanced thing ever. I played it because, oh, it's a new one. Let's try it out.
Yeah, man.
But like, I don't know, like seeing a slightly different layout for fucking Mako Mart doesn't entice me
Malcolm Martin. Although that
personally.
one was a pretty solid one. I don't know. I was racking up a lot of
It was
W's and still somehow lost that mess.
just because it was solid, it doesn't mean that I had fun.
I had fun on it. I don't know about you. That was like the one I could rock out with my heavy splat, stand in one spot and mow everybody. That it felt
I
good,
know, but
even when I was on the team of two.
I would genuinely have just liked if they just did the exact same shifty stations again from two, because that would have been just more something for variety. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree about that. I agree on that. Yeah.
Especially since it was derived off of elements from the story mode, and since then we've had both Octo Expansion and Splatoon 3. And those story modes are great. So you could have absolutely taken things from those and put them in story mode, put them in shifty stations, or even if you don't want to call them shifty stations, then just do like the Orca trials or whatever. The thing from the story mode in this game. They didn't have like they could theme it around Alterna. You could have imagine this. Imagine I don't know. They could still do this, I guess. Imagine the final Splatfest in this game takes place like on the rocket from story mode.
Hmm. Yeah, no,
Tons of
I think
unique
there's
stuff
I
they
think
could
there's
do.
room. I think there's room that they could still improve it because who knows?
Because we
Like
got
a year
there's
into this game's launch, they might change up how the
well,
Splatfest work
yeah,
because they technically did that in two. But
to be fair, Splatoon 2 changed a lot after Octo Expansion launched. Like Octo Expansion launching kind of changed that game a lot.
so who knows? We might get it when the I guess the Chaos DLC, not Chaos, the Order DLC comes out. I don't know. We'll see. We'll wait and see. But I don't think there's any much more we could probably say on this one though. But while we were talking on the topic of Legend of Zelda, we might as well go ahead and dive into this because I guess we did recently manage to get a 3-minute trailer for Tears of the Kingdom. I already have a video up on my channel where I kind of went through and kind of discussed not like a full blown analysis, but it was almost like a mini analysis by the time I was done with it, with the stuff I kind of wanted to say with what I actually saw up in that trailer, though. But yeah, so I already
Now,
kind of
if
got my full thoughts out there on that, though. But I'll let you go ahead and say what you might want to say on this, Steven. Because also, since then, we also got previews and stuff. So we'll talk about that here in just a
yeah.
second, though. But just your overall raw take
All
on what
right.
you thought on that trailer.
So I got a lot to say. I was very, and you know this, I was very worried about Tears of the Kingdom for the longest time. I don't know if I ever said it like openly, but like I was really worried it was just gonna feel like Breath of the Wild again with minor improvements. And up until this trailer, I really did genuinely believe that. Like yeah, we heard like I don't know. Ever since the last trailer, like we knew Ganon was gonna have voice acting. We knew Redeads and Gleeoks were gonna come back. That was all cool stuff, but the game still didn't really have a hook. And now finally that we know like what your main abilities and like fusing and all that is gonna be, plus, we have more of an idea on how grand the story is looking this time around, and what appears to be actual dungeons rising from the ground in multiple shots. If you did not notice,
Oh yeah, no, yeah,
there's
I saw
done like
those, and I was like, the fact that we might be able to
they're
get
done,
dungeons, or the fact we have an underground system, that's really cool.
especially now that we don't have runes that would probably break dungeons. You know what I mean? Like, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't really see the way that I don't see how fusing things could ruin dungeons.
No, not
We'll see though.
necessarily, because you can only fuse one thing at a time. So if you, for some reason, had like a stick with a pitchfork, we'll see how far that lets you go or whatnot, though. So I imagine they'll probably have some stuff in the dungeons, or say quote unquote dungeons, where it might give you some options to be able to fuse and do certain things to allow you to progress a little further, though. But whatever way they kind of have it laid out, it might force your hand to be able to, kind of make you go in a certain kind of path in order to beat this quote unquote dungeon or whatever they want to call them, shrines or whatnot.
Oh yeah, well we don't even know. Well, okay, so we do know from the previews that there are going to be like types of like Zonai shrines, because I'm just gonna assume that you don't know this in case like you've heard the term Zonai thrown around and
No,
don't know
I
what it
heard
means.
Zona. That's how like you have all of the I guess when you use like the Ultra Hand and stuff, like if you build a plane, like it's that kind of material stuff that allows most of those devices to kind of
Yeah.
run and operate.
So
Yeah.
so I'll just explain in case you never noticed it. In um Breath of the Wild, the entire Faron region, like the bottom right of the map, the jungle area, there's a bunch of like text and statues and stuff relating to an ancient tribe called the Zonai. And this was in Breath of the Wild. This was teased a hell of a lot in Breath of the Wild about this ancient tribe. And we haven't actually known about anything about them until this game. So this game we're fine like this is something teased all the way back in Breath of the Wild and getting back. And basically everything in the game seems like it's going to be connected to them. The floating sky islands, that hand that has, all of those new characters we've seen, the tiers themselves.
Oh wait, what was
I
that
just
last?
think it
Oh, what was that last thing you said, Steven?
like
I think you got
like
partially clipped.
the actual tiers of the kingdom also look to be connected to the Zonai in some kind of way.
No, yeah, I
Like
kind of like how they
it's gonna
kind
be
of teased it.
interesting.
I didn't even really pay much attention to to the Zone Eyes stuff that was even in baseline Breath of the Wild because I really didn't give it like a second thought on that though.
Yeah.
But now that you
One of
kind of
the one of
recall that out, I kind of want to go back in the game and actually look for that myself.
Yeah, and also you know that one area that's completely dark, Typhlo Ruins it's called? Like it's like completely black and white.
Oh yeah,
Or like
no, that wait, that completely pitch black area where you have to go around with a torch if you want to see anything in that area.
yes, so that area, another thing that they obviously teased all the way back when, if you brighten up that area, you can actually see a statue of a three-headed dragon. And in
Oh,
Tears of the Kingdom gameplay, we see that area without all the black fog. So that area is like a new area to explore now, technically.
oh, so I guess they were kind of
It's,
teasing that they were gonna bring that boss back at some point, which we know they're bringing it back in Tears of the Kingdom, which is literally just a boss that they pulled from the OG Legend of Zelda, which is kind of nice.
it is pretty nice, honestly. I like it.
No, yeah, so yeah, because it's kind of interesting because I've been going through and looking through some of the previews that a lot of people have been doing, and I feel like we still don't know the definitive answer. I feel like dungeons in some way are going to be underground. I feel like that's going to be because I actually heard of a case where somebody in their previews there was like some kind of double doors that open, and he wanted to go up in them, and the Nintendo associate was like, no, you can't go up in there. He's like, oh, so I'm like,
So
it's so the fact I heard doors opening and it looked like you can kind of peek up in there, but it looked like if you were to go through them, it probably would load up into something. I think that's your shrine or your dungeon equivalent. I think it's more like on a shrine versus a dungeon
they
because I think it was on a sky island, and those sky islands are only so big.
they did already confirm the fact that there will be cave systems. You can go very far underground in Hyrule this time around.
Which also they did confirm, yes, Korok seeds are back as well. So I'm like, huh, good
But
luck trying to
hip
find
hip
that stuff
hooray.
underground, on the surface, and up in the sky. Like, good luck for all y'all that are trying to hunt for all that mess. It's gonna take y'all
Genuinely
a hot
cannot wait
minute.
for Korok seeds.
I'll
Gimme,
find as
gimme,
much
gimme.
to get most of my unlocked stuff as possible, but I will not do a single thing more than that. Oh shit.
Yeah. Well, no, like there's probably gonna be like a 900 or something again, but just don't go for all of them. It's not worth it. You don't like they don't encourage you to. They just put them everywhere so you don't miss out on them.
Yeah, this is more likely where you're going out and running around Hyrule and whatnot, though. You're more likely to run into something versus only having a very
Yeah,
few, and that would be terrible because then it's like, where the heck are these things even at? And then you have to have a guide to find those for sure. But yeah, no, I don't think it was really. It was meant for people that want to die hard, do it, and get all of them, but it was more so meant spreading them all out so that way you're more likely to stumble upon them while you're doing your adventure and whatnot, though.
basically, yeah.
Yeah, so I think outside of that, that was like pretty much most of the stuff I kind of heard for, or my kind of thoughts, which you just have to look at my video to hear my full thoughts on it though. But overall, I'm stoked. This trailer that we got was literally like the closest thing we had to the Breath of the Wild 2017 trailer. It answered a lot of people's things. I hate how people were thinking in the lead up to this. The fact that people were thinking, "Hey, this is just some DLC or something like that." I'm like, no, 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 absolutely not. Now,
Well, we had valid reason to believe it wasn't really like I don't know that they just weren't showing a lot, and I don't think it's unreasonable as like the consumer to want to see more about the product that they expect me to pre-order a collector's edition for. And also the fact that this game is $70 still doesn't make sense, and I still don't like it. I don't care that it's the sequel to Breath of the Wild. They've made games that were more hyped up and weren't $70. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, I get
Like
I
you
get
can't
that. I
like
get
come
that.
on.
Which is kind of weird
Like
how
what
we're doing this at the very tail end, but at the end of the day, I think it's just
what if
testing grounds for it. The fact that
I
they also
know.
used a bigger, cartridge for it. A lot of things that kind of
So
tip their hand is like you
that
might as well go
thing
ahead and break the ice. Which I understand the
that
business why they did it. Is just from the consumer base, it just kind of feels like, dang, could you really have waited until the next system comes out? Then we can go ahead and do this
so
mess.
sorry, the cartridge thing might actually be incorrect
I mean, they could have made a custom
because
one that
like
might
the
have been just a
file
little
size.
bit bigger than that. But what are you
Well,
about to
no,
say
the
about the
file
file
size of
size?
the file size of the game was updated in the eShop, and it now shows like I think the projected file size is now somewhere close to it's what is it? It's somewhere close to 15.8 or something. So it would still fit on a 16 gigabyte card, but I don't know. They're
Hmm.
probably just still using that reason because it's easier to say that. Obviously Nintendo's still pulling their crap saying that this is a one-time thing and that they won't be doing this all the time. I don't believe it.
Well,
I don't buy that crap.
I just pulled it up on their website, and it says game file size. At least on the website, says exactly 16 gigabytes. Which I don't know. If that's exactly that, or if they just do one little patch for that sucker, it technically would be a little bit bigger than 16 gigs. So who knows?
Yeah,
I guess I guess
but the patch
I guess
would
they're
not
trying
be
to
on the
just barely
cartridge.
get underneath 16. Well, regardless, if they managed to fit this cartridge wise when they ship this mess out the door, and they barely got it to fit underneath 16, and then they do an update which gets it a little bigger, well then yeah, you're right. That probably would throw the cartridge reasoning or thought process out the window because they're putting that on that little thing.
The
So I'm like,
easiest solution, the easiest solution is that they made it $70 just because they could.
which honestly they could kind of get away with because I bet you Nintendo's over there licking their chops like what y'all got Spider-Man price at
I
70, you got God of
I don't think
War,
it's
this
a.
Horizon price at 70, you got this Halo Infinite, which I don't think anybody really technically probably bought a Halo Infinite for like 70 or
It was
whatnot though.
not
Most of
seven.
that
It
was
was
like,
not 70. That
yeah,
game
because
was not 70.
no, yeah, because I
What
know
are you
most
talking about?
people with at least with the if they wanted to play the multiplayer aspect of that was free. It's like a free to play or whatnot though. But I can't remember how much the actual campaign was. I
It
guess
was
that might have been
60.
60. But it was
It
kind
was
of weird.
60.
Oh no, because at first Microsoft originally they wanted to keep it at 60, but then Sony came out saying we're doing 70. Then they flip shift and did that. Yeah, you're right. But no, they're looking at all these other companies or Final Fantasy 7 price at 70, all this mess. And I bet they were licking their chops like, you know what, our stuff is valued more so than theirs. So I bet that they just wanted to test us. At the end of the day, they just wanted to test us. Yeah, so I guess outside of that, that's pretty much it in terms of the stuff I wanted to mention for Legends of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I'm stoked for this game. It's coming out here fairly soon. I think wait, hold on. Let me look at my calendar here real quick because mm, yes. So technically by the time that I have my next podcast episode out, and I'm doing this live here in the next couple of weeks, if everything goes according to plan, we will have our hands on Tears of the Kingdom. So I'll be able to kind of give my rough impressions of the game thus far in my next episode. So
Mm.
you can kind of look forward to that though, because I can guarantee you for whoever I get up in here, our experiences are going to be almost completely different. Just talking about gameplay, story, gameplay sense, and not even talk about story wise. We won't spoil anything for y'all out there though.
Yeah,
But just like the
I didn't.
overworld and the gameplay aspect, we're all going to have a different story to tell. It's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily like get to finish what I was like getting to, but basically all I was just gonna say was that I was very worried about this game at first, but I am a lot more excited for it now than I was a couple months ago. I just think I finally see what's gonna be the hook. Like the fusing seems nice, and we've also seen a lot more Sky Islands. Like there's gonna be a lot of those hanging out, and they look pretty big as well. Because in the new previews, they have a whole like the map. It's like an overlay on the map. You switch to the map of the Sky Islands,
No, yeah, and I
and
like how
I
you're
could only
actually able to travel between the two, the sky and the ground,
yeah.
and there's no cutscene or not cutscene or loading screens, nothing like that. There's nothing like that. You can freely go from one to the other, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, and I could definitely see how this game took so long. If it, just literally taking the open world, which probably was a nightmare to get running on a Wii U anyway, and just expanding it tenfold. Because I'm assuming. Let's be honest. When you go underground, there will definitely be loading screens.
Well, I think for the
But like
most part
it's
there
fine.
might not, but if you go underground and you let's say if a dungeon or shrine's underneath there, then yeah, that's where it's gonna happen. Or if you
Yeah,
fast
but
travel,
we
yes,
do
they're still
know
gonna you're still gonna
we
have loading screens.
we know there's going to be regular caves though. However, we've seen regular just caves that you go into. I don't know if you've seen them in the trailers
No,
and
I think I've seen
previews.
a couple or a few from preview or
There's a lot
trailers.
of
Yeah.
and also Zonai like building stuff is cool because you can get like portable cooking pots. You can get a bunch of portable Zonai items to like attach to whatever you want. Because there's like this like gotcha machine that you roll, and it gives you Zonai items. I don't know if you've seen that in the previews.
Oh no, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, which
And
it's
also
kind of interesting.
cooking. There's so much stuff that we should have seen a while ago. The recipe cards to make cooking more interesting is very nice. The map, the entire inventory screen has been revamped visually. It looks a lot cleaner. I love a lot of the stuff I'm seeing really, and then a lot of small stuff like travel medallions from Breath of the Wild are now like a regular item. The things you place down and you could use them as a fast travel spot wherever you want.
Oh yeah, because thank goodness they put that in there. Because imagine if you didn't place that travel medallion on the Skylander Explorer, and let's say if one of those weirdo robot things were to like knock you off the cliff, or you did something weird and you blew yourself off the cliff. Maybe you're shooting an arrow and you hit an explosive and that knocks you off. Bro, you
Yeah,
falling from all the way up high on those skylines down to ground level higher roll. And it would have been like, bro, now you have to construct something or do a recall thing and try to get all the way back up to the top. That'll be a pain in
yeah.
the butt. So I
Well,
think
the
that's going
cool
to be the
thing,
most people's defaults laying that medallion there. So just in
yeah,
case if something weird like that happens.
yeah, but like I feel like eventually the further you get through the game, it's gonna be easier just to hop between the both. Like eventually once you get a bunch of Zonai items, you want to know what you can do, Zard? You can just take a plank of wood, attach some rockets to the side, and fly back up.
No, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It could probably be just as simple as
You
that because I
can
know those
you can make.
rockets they move real fast. I think that's the reason why they're even included those things.
And obviously, you can make cars, which is just gonna be funny. It's gonna be kind of fun to ride around on Hyrule in a big rig with flamethrowers peeking through the sides, and maybe you can make like arrow shooters or cannons to put on it.
Make
Maybe
myself a
there will be
mobile fort.
sections where I don't know, maybe you'll have sections where you gotta defend against a bunch of monsters, like defend like a village, and you gotta like fuse together blocks to make a wall, stuff like that. Like I
You
feel
know,
like there's tons of things that we have not seen.
no,
Also, by the way,
yeah.
in case I want to make sure before I say this, IGN Japan deleted a video on their channel because I guess Nintendo did not want this to be shown.
know if it
and
was
it's
them deleting it versus
yeah,
Nintendo
it's not
maybe
even
blocking it or something. I did hear
yeah,
about that because I was the
it's
one that actually
not
told you
even
about
it's
that.
yeah, it's not even that crazy though. All it is like they're one of the new abilities is called auto build, and it will let you save your vehicles or creations.
Oh, that actually be pretty helpful. So that way,
So
if you
let's just
got like a
say,
nice rig that can actually get you to the Sky Islands, like a plane or whatnot, you wouldn't
yeah.
have to keep constantly rebuilding that thing.
Well,
Which honestly,
well, we don't
that could be
know.
really helpful.
Well, no, it could be one of two things, Zard. You could either save your vehicle as like a recipe, and if you have the correct materials, you can
And
create
just
it,
auto build it.
or it will
Yeah.
literally just be, or it could literally just be like pocketing your vehicle, for example.
Feel like
It
there
could be
will
one
be
of
a
those two.
something that will allow you to pocket, but you probably only be able to pocket just one. But like what you
Yeah,
said with the recipes and the auto building, you could probably save creations in terms of like what you did to make it. And then if you had the materials to do it, then poof, there you go.
you want to know
Yeah.
what my favorite thing about this game is? This is the last thing I'll say. My favorite thing is gonna be when I watch speed runs, and they're just gonna be flying on a single block with a fan on it.
Or probably with a
Well, it's gonna
rocket or
happen.
something.
It's
Yeah.
just gonna be a single block, and there'll just be a fan riding on that block. Watch. I call it now, and I'll send you a video when it happens. The speedrun, they're just gonna take a rocket, attach it to like a single plank of wood, like I said, or a single rock, and they'll just go flying, and
Which honestly, that'd
it's
be
gonna be
kind of
amazing.
funny because it would have been like, well,
Gonna-
it'd be like that one meme was like, well, when you close your eye, oh,
oh,
yeah, nothing changes at all or whatnot though, because that's literally almost the same thing as in Breath of the Wild when you know use stasis and you hit it with a bunch of momentum, hop on the side of the rocket and just launch forward. If you're just gonna slap just a rocket
yeah,
on the side, not build anything else off on top of it, and then shoot
yeah.
yourself off, I'm like, bro, it's gonna be the same thing.
Yeah, all I know is that I will be fusing my sword with a mushroom, and it's gonna be amazing. Me and that mushroom sword, we're gonna go beat Ganon together. That's the dream, Zard.
Well, we'll see how you go, but at least for me, I'm gonna merge the Master Sword with the Hylia shield, and ain't nothing I can either block, parry,
I
or
swear to
strike.
God. Well, we don't even know what's happening with the Master Sword. We don't even know if
Oh,
we're gonna get it.
that is true, but you know good and well by the end of this game ends, and this ain't gonna be spoilers. This is me speculating, but you know at the very end of the game, we're gonna get the Master Sword back, and it's gonna be like Skyward Sword all over again. We're gonna have to rejuvenate that sucker and rebuild it or recraft it or something like that.
Yeah,
Because literally, at least when I'm
and
looking at this, oh dear, at least when
and
I'm looking
also I
at
guess
this
we didn't.
game, oh what?
I was just gonna say we didn't really talk about it, so I thought we should mention it. The biggest thing from that new trailer is just Ganondorf being back. I'd say
Oh yeah.
he
Which
looks
honestly,
amazing. I'd say
crazy how we hadn't had this dude back in like what 17 years. But I'm like, hey, I was like,
not in a
the dude
main. Yeah, Ganondorf has
mainline.
not appeared.
I'm referring to mainline. Yes, the last time we
Yeah,
saw him was in Twilight Princess. So I'm like, it's good to have this dude back because even the voice actor for him too he sounds pretty cool. So I'm
it's
like, you know what?
it's
I'm down for
so
this.
his voice actor is Matt Mercer, aka his name used to be McCree from Overwatch. It's just a
And
very funny pick is all.
I know he did some things with some anime shows here and there though, but
Yes,
yeah, with most
yeah,
of his
you
roles, it's
probably
pretty good.
yeah, he's probably been in something you've watched. That's all you need to
Well,
know,
he's been in a
basically.
handful of things I watch. I can't recall them off the top of my head though, but he has some notable roles in some good shows though. But I guess this is the last thing I probably will say on Tears of the Kingdom, and then we'll roll over to our next other big topic though. But at least from everything I'm seeing up in here, I'm seeing really good elements from Ocarina of Time. You know, just kind of the storyline stuff that potentially what we can be getting between Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf, the Majora's Mask side with how darker this story is going to be. But then you also got the Skyward Sword elements, like we're kind of going between the land, the ground level versus the sky and whatnot. And who knows, Demise actually might be able to pop his head back up. And now I'm gonna live
I
and
hope
die on
so.
that hill. I'm gonna live and die up here on that hill. And then obviously you got Breath of the Wild with it being open world. So taking some of the best elements from those past games, I feel like between Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Skyward Sword, and Breath of the Wild, and putting them all into one, I'm like, I'm just all here for it. I'm just all here for it.
I don't think Demise coming back is that much of a stretch. Like we know a part of Demise was inside the Master Sword, and now that the Master Sword's like actually just been like almost like broken for like one of the first times we've seen, it's not that far of a stretch that Demise might finally come back. Especially since people are theorizing that that lady in the trailer might be Hylia.
It may be. Who knows? It's still kind
If
of
it is,
early to say.
yeah,
I mean, because
I don't
you
know.
know how it is with new
Well,
characters. You just never know
yeah, but
what
let's
they're
be
gonna do.
honest, Nard. You probably realized it. Before we see Ganondorf, earlier in that trailer, we see a character with dark red, fiery, glowing hair and like blackish scales on his arms.
Oh,
That
I
was
saw
not
that mess.
Ganondorf. That
No,
was
I
I
saw
don't
that.
know. Yeah,
It's
that
either it's either like one of the beasts, like like claiming again and whatnot. Though, like what we kind of saw in some of those bosses we saw in Breath of the Wild, it's either that or it's Demise. It's one or the other.
it's
But then
demise.
when I look back in one of the older trailers, though, where it was like when Link and Zelda were first exploring that underground dungeon area, whatever you want to call it, there was like a shadow flash of it, and when I saw that point where the shadow flashed of what could have been either Ganondorf or whatnot, though, it, that screamed demise to me when I originally saw that. That's why I kind of was on the hunch maybe he might be in the game before we even knew Ganondorf was technically in the game, though. But who knows? Who knows? But I think that might actually do it. At least for now, we'll probably we'll have more thoughts on this. This is just kind of the preview, kind of what we're thinking and what we're kind of. This is the last time we're gonna probably speak about this game before we actually have this game in our hands, though. But I think that's most of all of our thoughts, what we kind of got going on right now. So you can look forward to next week or the next episode in terms of our actual impressions and whatnot, though. But overall, pretty stoked. How you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10 right now, Steven?
For Tears of the Kingdom, I'm feeling a solid 7.5. Like
Okay.
I said, I'm still kind of cautiously optimistic, but it was before it was like a 5.
Man, you're shooting too low. I know this game's gonna be solid. I'm saying it's at a solid 9. For me, it's a solid 9. Ganondorf
That's
really
fair.
was the one that tipped the scales for me though, because I know that at least with Ganondorf, you're going to have to include some more story bits. You can't just like put this boy up in here and not really have like a fairly interesting story, which I think that was the one thing Breath of the Wild was kind of lacking in though. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see on this one though. But whole shoot, we talked about this one long enough, so let's go ahead and roll over to the last major big topic I got for tonight. That being we finally got it. We finally freaking got it. We got the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeem DLC that dropped literally within like the past week. It dropped on a Tuesday. They gave us a heads up, a 1 week heads up. And I was like, are you kidding me? They dropped this DLC 2.5 weeks before Tears of the Kingdom came out. And I was like, oh freaking shoot. Now, before I go any further in this, we are not going to be talking about the spoilers themselves because it'll probably be me, Mario, and Sonic Q, like what we kind of normally do with most Xenoblade related things. I'll have some kind of discussion video out there talking about all the spoilers and whatnot, because we did a 3 hour long discussion talking about a big fat review of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So who knows how long we're going to talk about this because this literally wraps up the whole entire trilogy, though. So that's just a heads up. No spoilers up in this discussion. It's just impressions of what we kind of thought about the DLC in terms of like mostly the gameplay aspect and maybe a tiny bit of things of characters from what we kind of got from official,
Can I say
yeah,
anything we
official
seen in the
stuff.
trailer?
What we saw in the
Anything
trailer,
that was
yes,
in.
but
Okay.
nothing
Well, that
more
gives me a
beyond that.
decent amount to work with. Yeah.
But yeah,
So
so that was just
first,
a little heads up. So now we're gonna go up into it.
first things first. It's very good. There you go. That's your first. That's your first topic. It's
No,
very good.
no, it's very solid from beginning to end. I think it took me, and both of us technically did finish this DLC at this point, though. But it took me somewhere in the net range of between 20 and 25 hours for me to beat. Obviously,
Same
that would
thing.
change if you're playing on easy, normal, or hard. I was predominantly playing the game in normal, so that kind of gives you a feeling of how, which I did some side quest stuff along the way. There's a fairly good amount of stuff that you can kind of do up in this game, though, but for the most part, I felt like I was moving from one main task to the other. So a good meaty 20 to 25 hours, which I thought was almost about the same kind of amount of time I put in Torna, for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 when that one came out, though. So that's just kind of the rough time frame that it kind of roughly takes for you to kind of beat this game.
Yeah. Important question. Can I spoil Xenoblade 3?
No, that is a very important question. Hmm. If it, hmm. What, what, oh, what was it? That game
No,
came.
yeah,
Oh, wait,
we
wait,
won't do
hold on.
that.
The game hasn't been out
We'll
for a
wait.
year. No, no, no. My official rule
Fine.
here on the channel is if the game's been out for more than a year, then you had all the time in the world. But since the game's not been out for a whole year yet, it's close. It's not there yet.
Hey,
I
good
ain't
thing I
gonna.
asked.
I ain't gonna.
Good thing I asked because I would have just started with that.
Oh yeah, because sometimes when you talk about that, that can lead into the DLC. But we're not going down that road.
Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, I love the gameplay. I think this takes all the best parts about three's gameplay and also combines it with the stuff I liked about Torna, meaning, having a consistent party with limited customization allows you to take advantage of what they give you.
Mhm.
Like it feels a lot more condensed, but I kind of like that. I kind of like that I have set party members that can only do certain things because it makes me, I don't know, it makes me have more of a connection to the ones I like. In Xenoblade 3, you could like switch around all the classes, and it kind of makes things feel a little bit less personal with each character.
That is true.
A
That is
little,
true. Because
a
I
little
did
bit.
not really mess with changing the classes with
I
Xeno
don't
3.
know.
I did when they first did that little introduction for it. But then whenever I was able to change it back, I put them back where they were. I wasn't really going to mess with it beyond that.
I did mess with it. Like I tried because here's the thing. Just by leveling up with the different classes, you get different arts for every single other class. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or
So
at
like
least should I
either
say
way,
like I changed some of
yeah,
them up, but like for
just
example,
for
Senna,
grinding.
I might have changed Senna to another type of attacker, but she wasn't gonna be like a healer or nothing like that.
Yeah.
If that makes
Like
sense, because I think
the
Tyon,
entire
I think I changed his. I didn't like his default healing, whatever it was.
what's the one that you get later in Xenoblade 3? I'm not gonna say the character's name obviously, but you know the one you get. It's called like Strategos. It's like another Agnes like healer guy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Strategos is like the one that was a lot better for healing, and I changed Tyon to that for the rest of the game. And I also kind of eventually just made Senna a Flash Fencer, which is the type Ethel's class,
Mhm.
and then she stayed on that for the entire game.
No, I
So
can
yeah, I don't know.
understand
It
this.
made things a little bit too confusing, but gameplay in this is very simple. I love most of the characters. There's one that could be a bit better, but it still serves their purpose. You
No, yeah,
probably know which one I'm talking about.
yeah, and I'm gonna go ahead and let the cat out of the bag on this one though, because between all of our six protagonists that they showed on every little bit of promotional material, yeah, we know Shulk and Rex come back though. Rex in this game is absolutely busted. Like
Yes.
there ain't. Oh shoot, bro! Like this dude
So
crits
can I say
all the freaking
something?
time. He was one of
This
my
is not
personal favorites, and I always used him. If I wasn't using him, I was using Matthew or I was using Shulk. Those
this
predominantly those three.
this is not a spoiler. I've been playing it. The whole time we've been talking on this podcast. I've been trying to beat a unique monster. I got a 14 million damage chain attack because of him.
Gracious. Yeah, and
Yeah,
in
he's crazy.
yeah, it kind of based upon what you kind of got going on because I think the main difference that makes this DLC different from the main story is obviously this game really relies on you playing the baseline Xenoblade Chronicles 3 because there's a few twists they do up in here, and I can't say all of them though, but there's a few twists that they put up in here that makes it different enough with this DLC versus the main game story or whatnot though. And the one thing that kind of upset at me, or I guess the one thing that kind of, made me scratch my head the most on was normally when you go through and play through basically any Xenoblade game, your arts and stuff and whatever kind of other special things that they kind of put in whatever kind of game you're playing, you usually will slowly unlock those either through story events or through leveling up. But this DLC is a little bit different because all your arts, there's actually all your arts, all your gems, and all your accessories, stuff that you normally got when you actually leveled up to a certain point, you have to find that mess out there in the world. And that kind of drove me crazy because
Right.
in one way it was
So,
good because it forced you to kind of explore, which that kind of set me back a little bit. And I was like, you know what? Let me just go ahead and take all this in, which I kind of do appreciate it for that aspect though. But when you really want to, try to get some of these certain things unlocked, it is a little bit of a pain in the butt though. I will say so myself. What are you about to say,
oh,
Steven?
absolutely. I've been playing on hard mode. Imagine how I felt when I found, when I when I'm playing a certain battle where I can only use two characters, and those characters I have not upgraded the entire game. So I
Oh,
have no,
oh yeah,
you know
yeah.
what one I'm talking about.
Okay, I know that. Yes, yeah, I know what you're talking about without going any further
Yeah,
than that. Yeah, so
I had
there's
no
little
accessory.
instances like that where it's like, oh shoot, bro, I could have set them
I
up a
had
lot better,
nothing
but
upgraded.
yeah,
I
you
had to
might have
go
had nothing
find a
upgraded.
bunch of stuff. Which, yeah, that moment when that happened to me, I was like, you should be able to reset the growth, just like how you can on affinity charts. You
Oh
should be
yeah,
able to
which
reset and be able to reapply it depending on
yeah,
the situation. Because obviously the game gives you just enough to upgrade everybody. They don't
it,
give you any extra.
yeah, no, it's like one of everything. So it's like when you
But
get
at
down to
the
those
same
last few
time,
characters, that could be a little rough.
yeah. But on the same time, Zard, this is by far the Xenoblade game that I've almost completed this. I'm actually gonna try to 100% this, because this, another thing I have not mentioned yet, they actually keep percentages for completion in this one, which is a very nice change.
Yeah, which is really nice because I do like little things like what they did in Baseline 3, like with the Collectopedia and whatnot, though. That kind of gave you purpose to actually get all these random items because they actually help with the thing, which this is one of the main differences that's, as like a focal point in the DLC with the kind of gameplay and growth that's different the DLC versus the main story for Xeno 3. That being you can actually get affinity points. And those affinity points, those points that you can get them through a myriad of different ways, but those are the things that kind of go back to either power up your arts or your certain abilities or being able to do art cancellation and all of that mess. That's the kind of stuff that affinity points kind of play into the role of. Now, how you get these affinity points, you can do them from either doing things from like the Collectopedia, battling a certain kind of monster so many times that gives you affinity points. Naturally, going out and exploring the worlds that can do some things. Affinity point scenes like where you're kind of standing at one point and then you get a little story scenario where like two or three different characters happen to be talking to each other or whatnot though. And there's like a handful of other things, but that's just like a few of them I just randomly listed out there though. But yeah,
Yeah,
everything kind of revolves around these affinity points, which I thought they did quite well because if you go and
so
look
good.
back at a game like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, way how they kind of did those points and skill trees and all that stuff, yeah, man, that was a convoluted mess right there. Like, oh
Lord,
shoot.
I can't go back. I can't go back to Xenoblade 2 with that god awful affinity
Eventually, I
system
will
anymore.
because I really do love that game. At the end of the day, that story was the main thing as a driving force. But since I kind of know how to play, the
You
whole
don't
Xeno
need to
series a
use the
lot better,
affinity
and yeah,
system.
yeah, you
You
don't
don't
need
need to
to, but
use
it
it.
will help. It will help.
Yeah, but in this DLC, you basically need to.
No, in this
You,
one you
you're
do.
doing yourself,
Yeah.
you're doing yourself a very big disservice if you do not get anything for Rex. Rex, he gets, half of his stuff increases crit rate and crit damage. He literally becomes a monster if you upgrade him even slightly. But no, besides him, you need it to stay up the scale in the late game. It's very necessary compared to something like, you know, Xenoblade 2, where I only had to do it in the last chapter of the game, Zard. I never touched the system until the last chapter of the goddamn game.
No, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
that
know
makes
about
a lot
you.
of sense. Yeah, shoot, man, I'll tell you what.
I
Holy
just needed
goodness.
it for those field skills, which another yeah, I'm glad they never did that again. But my god.
No, but
This
in a way, it kind of came back, but it's not nearly as bad. It's much more doable.
yeah.
It's not like
It,
crazy convoluted like how it was in two. Yes, there are gonna be certain points in the game where it's like you're gonna need certain items in order to progress. And I was doing good for like the whole entirety of the game until like I almost got to the very late game, and I was like, "Oof, I need to find this one item or whatnot." Though, but yeah, there is a little bit of that. But outside of that, honestly, this game was a solid 10 out of 10. I I felt like in terms of the story, they wrapped everything up quite nicely. Made a lot of nods, obviously, to Xenoblade 1 and Xenoblade 2, and as well as Xenoblade 3, how everything kind of wrapped up and whatnot, though. And as long as you went through and played through all those games, Torna and all the DLC, and I mean, I felt like the maybe the loosest tie was probably Future Connected, but there was a little bit of stuff up in that though. But if you play through all of this, you're gonna be very well treated with seeing the way how this story ends. And I really want to talk about this mess though, but you're just going to give me a little bit of time because Sonic is still over there trying to
yeah.
go through and play through this game though. But eventually, we'll sit down and talk about all these spoilers because shoot, it is a lot to go over and talk about though. But whole freaking shoot. You know, the world building, all that stuff, the nice environments, the stuff that you kind of see from the Xeno 1 and the Xeno 2 sides. You know, just going through and exploring these worlds and kind of seeing those aha or oh shoot, I remember that, or hearing some of the music, which
The
we hadn't even talked
music.
about the music. The music is
The
still
music.
a solid, and I do like the battle theme they have for this one though. That's like a 10 out of 10.
I don't know. I'm gonna say this is the best battle theme. I really like this battle theme, Zard. It kind of feels like it gives me Torna vibes, but also kind of future connected vibes, which I guess is this is kind of like a prequel, like Torna, and you know, future connected, future redeemed. They obviously were doing something there.
Yeah, they really were. But I think
Very good
outside of
DLC.
yeah, very good DLC. I think outside of that, that's probably all I can say on it now. Because anything else I would say more on it will literally go into the story aspect and all the spoiler sides, which I clearly said I was going to avoid though. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it on that. Was there anything else you might have wanted to mention, Steven, or you kind of mentioned most?
Um, I'm just gonna say that I was just gonna say that Rex definitely is the ultimate bat. Besides how good he is in game, the fact that he wields, you know, he's dual wields Aegis swords, and he's got this really deep voice now, and spoilers that I cannot say. He is the best Xenoblade protagonist now by far.
No, yeah,
I kind of
he
like
was always my
I
favorite,
don't
and
know.
then this
I
definitely
kind of like
solidified it.
I kind of liked Shulk more, but now, a fully grown Rex after the events of Xenoblade 2, he was able to fully ponder those events now that he's older. Like he is a great character in this game. They don't even like try to skip any beats. They don't like hide anything. They don't try to be vague about anything. Like they tell you how it is. Xenoblade 3 was known for being very vague and kind of annoying with how it told its story. Like not really telling you half the details. But this, they give it to you straight. It's the perfect conclusion.
No, yeah.
'Cause
So
that because that's what it really is. It's a without saying anything, this is the conclusion to the 6 game saga, or including the including like extra campaigns. I'd say it's 6 games.
well, it's not fully 60. It's technically like what, one, two, three. It's technically four games, but you can say six story. You can say six story, and that's
Yeah,
100% right. Yeah, so
I
I would
guess
say
so.
it's six
Yeah,
story saga, though. So yeah, that man finally was able to tell it after 25 years, and to that I must say,
yeah.
so yeah. So honestly, that's really nice. I'm glad I was able to witness and see the whole thing. Honestly, it got me motivated because oh, and that was the other thing I was going to mention though too. We did get confirmation that they are making amiibo for Noah and Mio as well, and also we got some dates confirmed for the Xenoblade 2 amiibo dropping for Mithra and Pyre, the Smash Brothers ones. Those are dropping out in was it June or July? Sometime this summer though.
Yep.
I already managed to get
And
both of them
you
pre-ordered, and I actually pre-ordered two of them because I keep one in the box and keeping one, where I'm gonna take them out or whatnot. Though it's the only weird amiibo I'm actually gonna do that mess for. I really wouldn't have done it for much of anything
and
else.
what's the whole thing? Like you get the Aegis swords for Noah as a skin, or is it just
Mm,
as a sword fighter? Like sword fighter will get the Aegis sword as a skin.
oh, you talking about Smash?
No,
Or you
in
talking about? No, in Xenoblade
Pirate and Myth
3, no,
don't
yeah,
didn't
in baseline 3, I think you saw Noah walking around and he was able to use, the sword, the Aegis swords for both Pyra and Mithra. And I think there's gonna be a way how you can also get it even without using the amiibo. But I bet you in order to do that, you have to number one buy the DLC, and I bet you have to
wait.
complete it. I think those are gonna be the
Could you
things. And
do that
once you
with?
did that,
Could they get the Monado without the Shulk amiibo or no?
no, not that
Damn
I
it!
know of. Which honestly,
I really
surprisingly, I don't even have that Shulk amiibo. Surprisingly, I need to find a way to get it, which I probably have to go off of eBay or something like that.
didn't they reprint it when Xenoblade 3 came out, if I'm correct?
No, I don't think they did.
No, really?
Uh-uh.
Damn.
I think they reprinted it slightly when Smash Ultimate came out, but I think I just missed
Missed
it somewhere
opportunity
early
much.
on. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what their thinking was, but But who knows? Who knows? But I think that's pretty much it in terms of most of the Xenoblade stuff right there. So honestly, some really good stuff, and I'm looking forward to whatever Monolith Soft has planned in the future, though. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be called Xenoblade something, but it might not be called Xenoblade Chronicles anymore because that kind of told one story. We'll have to see the naming convention and whatnot, though. But we'll
Well,
see from here. We'll see.
well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they'll just call it Xenoblade still, just because it's it will be new Chronicles. It will be a new story. They could still call it Xenoblade
No,
Chronicles,
I no, they're keeping the
4 or
Xenoblade. The
something.
Xenoblade stuff that's tied with Nintendo. They're keeping that part. The matter of fact, are they going to call it like Xenoblade Chronicles 4? That's yet to be determined. We don't know. But
And without saying anything, they definitely have room to make new stuff.
yeah, they always do. Alrighty, well, that's gonna basically do it in terms of all the gaming topic news that I have for tonight. Those are pretty good, solid stuff though. So we'll go ahead and move over to the next thing. So that being so about that show. All right, so here lately, I feel like, well, I was about to say I felt like I didn't watch a lot of stuff here lately, though, but technically I have because it's been a while since I actually had this last podcast episode. So, what are we in? We're in the spring season now. So, I've been going through and watching a ton of new, I mean, a crap ton of new anime. And I was like, at first, I didn't think I was gonna be watching that much stuff, but then I started looking at the list and stuff, and lo and behold, I wound up having like a crap ton of stuff up on here though. So like all good things, it's usually hard for me to sit down and talk about every show that I'm watching in one go. So I usually have to split this mess up in half though. So I think the ones that I kinda like the most from this season is obviously Demon Slayer, the newest art that they have going on for that one. What's the name of this art? Um, dang, I'm trying to remember. It's the Swordsmith Village art. That's the one we're currently in right now. We just managed to hit the good point right now because the first couple of episodes were kind of okay, but once you kind of get into the plot of the actual fighting and combat, that's where I think it really shines. So not a lot to say about it though, but I'm just glad that one's back. Um, Another one is called Hell's Paradise. Yes, you heard me right there, Steven. This one right here, I think it's one of the few that I think that is going to be one of the few animes that's going to stand out this season because of the fact that it's Mappa that's actually going through and animating this stuff, which the animation has been extremely clean. You literally have these characters. You literally have one dude. I don't know why. It's just kind of crazy to see how different each show kind of handles these characters, though. But this dude, he committed some crimes and stuff like that. He's a married man. He committed some crimes and whatnot though. But for the longest time, these people, Steven, were trying to kill this man. They dipped him in boiling oil and whatnot. That didn't do it. They tried to behead the dude. That didn't do it. They tried to pull him apart with like four different horses and him, kind of like an old western and whatnot though. That didn't did it. He ultimately he wore the bulls out or whatnot though. Like this dude could not die. But then there was this one lady that shows up and has this special kind of sword style or whatnot though, and she actually manages to like leave a scar up on this dude's face. But ultimately, they struck a deal and said, "Hey, we won't kill you. We'll pardon all your crimes if you're willing to go to this place that we call Hell's Paradise or whatnot." Though they're trying to find like a secret elixir to life or something like that, and that's kind of the basic plot line for it right there. So I think that one's pretty promising right there. Um, and
Now,
then I
now
oh
I don't know what the I don't know what the hell half of those words you said just meant, but it sounded kind of neat. That's all I'll say.
I'm
I'm not
telling
an
you, man.
anime guy per se, but like I can certainly appreciate how much of it there is. Like anime fans probably eating good. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, yeah, we're doing fairly good this season, I would say. And I think the other big one that kind of hit, which was one I really didn't have on the radar at first because it's technically an idol anime. If y'all know me, I do not like that
Oh
mess most
no.
of the time because, with Mario and his love life, oh shoot, man, I just despise that mess. But there are a couple out there where if they get big enough in notoriety, and people are kind of pointing this out left and right, and it's either meme potential or just gets bolstered up on the internet to like a large value. I will check it out. One of the few was Zombieland Saga, which I really love that series right now because I didn't think it was gonna be for me, but the fact that what she literally died in the first episode and got hit by a car, I was like, there's not a lot of shows that are like that. I was
Wait,
like,
wait, wait,
bruh,
wait. Is that what that clip is from?
yes.
Yeah, I've seen the clip. I'm pretty sure everyone's seen the clip. Zari, come on.
No, everybody did. That's what drew me in. I was like, what? I was like, Samato got killed in the first episode. I was like, I don't know what the heck this is, but I'm willing to try it now. It has to be something crazy like that. So then, obviously, with this season, they have one that's called Oshi no Ko, which I think if you translate that to English, I think it's something kind of like called like My Star or something like that. But same kind of process. It's basically there's like this idol girl or whatnot though, and she's usually with them, they don't normally get in a relationship with somebody or whatnot, though, because I don't know. It's just the kind of thing that they're kind of associated with, whatnot, though. Apparently, she got pregnant, and this girl's only like 16 years old. I'm like, what the
Uh
heck? So
oh.
instantly, I
Uh
was like, what the frick
oh.
is going on, though? But long story short, she kind of always wanted to have someone to say that I love you or something like that. So she was thinking, well, maybe having an actual family or something like that would be cool or whatnot, though. And she was pregnant with twins, and the dude's a doctor or whatnot, and she had to go out in the boonies or whatnot, though, so that way you know, what was it, the paparazzi or whatnot, though. People want to kind of break that story out and kind of ruin her career or whatnot, though. But this dude was like a big fan of idols or whatnot, though, particularly her or whatnot. And he kind of helped nurse her through all of this stuff, try to, make sure the babies were going to be healthy enough, because he was going to basically do the procedure to, give birth to her or whatnot, though. So, he did all that stuff, really nice for her and whatnot, though. But in the dude's past, we figured out that he also took care of another patient who was like a younger girl that was always sick all the time, and he's really nice like kids and whatnot though. So obviously, but eventually that girl couldn't make it out. She was like 14 years old whenever she unfortunately passed away or whatnot though. So it was important to kind of show that though. But ultimately, as soon as those babies were almost about to be born or whatnot, and as soon as she said, "Hey, make sure that you're available because I want you to be the one that do the procedure and whatnot," though, there was this stalker dude, and this stalker dude was literally keeping tabs on this girl left and right. Like he was one of the few that knew that she was pregnant. Not everybody else knew. Somehow they covered up the story just well enough where the dude wasn't gonna be they covered up the story well enough to where not a lot of people questioned why she was, out of the singing, dancing, all of that stuff with her group or whatnot. Though this dude, lo and behold, was gonna try to, blow up her story or whatnot. Though, or it looked like he was kind of peeking his nose in where it shouldn't naturally belong or whatnot. Though, so the doctor dude chased them all the way into this park, and the dude pushes him from behind, and then he falls and he dies in the first episode. I was like, what the heck? This dude's the main protagonist. I was like, what the? I was like, how the heck is this dude gonna die? I was like, okay, maybe they're focusing more so on the idol um, woman that's about to give birth or whatnot though. And that same doctor dude got reincarnated or rein I guess reincarnated, I guess is what you want to say. And basically, even though he died right there as a doctor, he got reborn as one of the twins that that idol girl was having. So he got reborn as the
What?
baby boy. Yeah, it's a little weird. And then that
Does he
remember,
know? Does he have his memory?
yeah, he has all of his same memories of his previous life. Yes. So
Oh
it's
my
kind of
fucking god.
yeah. And then also there's another girl that, cuz it was the twins that she had. And the girl that was also born with him, his twin sister was the same girl. He doesn't know this. We know this as the audience. It's the same girl that died whenever she was 14 when that same doctor dude was taking care of her while she was hospitalized because she could barely move her body or whatnot though. She's that same girl and she got reincarnated as that dude's twin sister. We know
So
that as the
it's
audience,
like,
but they don't know that between each other.
so what? They like get along though because it was like, they were like in good acquaintance
Yeah.
last time they were both alive
Yeah, so
or
they
something.
got
Oh wait.
along. They love that the fact that both of them are now kids. To
Yeah, but the
the one
mother of
idol that
the
they
mother is
actually loved
probably
a
pretty
whole
sad.
bunch. The mother obviously didn't know none of that or whatnot, though she was kind of oblivious to all of that,
And
though.
that kind of leads to the kind of messed up implications of like, when he grows up, is he gonna be like, I'm actually your husband?
Um, no, not quite. No, not quite. But
Well,
you
yeah, but like it could have been that.
it, it
Could have been weird like that.
it could have been weird, but the reason why it ain't is that same stalker dude. Remember the dude that killed that dude? At the
Yeah.
very end, mind you, this whole entire first episode is like an hour and 20 something minutes. It basically this first episode felt like it was a movie. Keep it a buck 50. I was not expecting that whenever I clicked on that episode though. But by the time you got to the very end of it, that same dude that killed that doctor was the one that showed up at that woman's first at that woman's doorstep or whatnot. By then, the reincarnated dude, he was about like what 3 or 4 years old or something like that though. But no, maybe 2 or 3. But anyway, that dude showed up back at her doorstep, and immediately he had a knife in his hand and he killed off their mother right then and there.
What the fuck? Okay. Anime is fucking weird, man.
So then, and then obviously the twins, they lost their mother. They both grow up. They kind of been low key adopted by other people that they've been kind of working close and tangent with their the idol group's company managers or whatnot though. And so basically, now where we're at in the story is the girl is trying to pursue her mother's footsteps of she wants to be an idol despite the crazy stuff that happened within their family. And then the dude, he has like almost a kind of knack for the I guess the knack kind of for the experience or kind of knowledge for to be in the entertainment side within like the movie side, since he ain't gonna be an idol or whatnot. That's like a girl or whatnot though. So he has a knack to be in the movie side things, but even though he could naturally do that, he's only doing it for the fact that he's trying to solve this murder mystery of who was the one, not necessarily the one who killed him, because you know who killed him, but he started putting two and two together and was like, there's no way this dude should have known that information since it was super secretive on everything where they were going to the hospital on and whatnot though. So he figures the only one that could have possibly let tip that dude off could have been their father, because their father would have been the only other one with that information. Because everybody else, he believed that they trusted as like a source to kind of keep that information to themselves. So he's
Top
thinking
10
maybe the
anime plot
father,
twist.
yeah, he's thinking maybe the father was the one that kind of leaked out that information. So basically, he's just trying to find the person who tipped off that killer. So it's kind of like a murder mystery thing dealing with or not.
Well, yeah. Well,
And that's
Zard,
the whole catch for that one.
murder mysteries aren't always about finding the murderer. You could be finding out their motive, finding out obviously if there was any, anyone helping. Not every murder mystery actually involves the murder itself, as weird as that sounds.
No, yeah, that makes sense. So he's trying to figure all this stuff out while the his sister on the other side is trying to pursue her mother's footsteps, and that's basically the main plot. So I kind of summed up what happened in like almost an hour and a half episode quickly right there. This is a quick synopsis. If you hadn't watched the series, I still recommend watching it and seeing it out though. But no, that was a crazy first episode. And I think that's probably the one that's ranked the highest in terms of its scope, in terms of where most people are kind of watching whatnot. I think it's the only one out of every show I've been kind of looking through and seeing that's ranked on like the My Anime list. It's usually ranked on the scale of 1 to 10, so you have like decimals all in between. It's the only one that's been ranked at like the high 9 point somethings, and usually nothing gets ranked that high that quickly after like only one episode.
I don't know. From what you've described, it sounds like the anime of all time. Just the anime of all time.
It's not the anime of all. Yeah, it's at like a 9.09,
Yeah,
but
the
it's not
anime
the
of all
anime of all
time.
time.
I
But
can't.
it is ranked pretty
No,
high. Like now
I
it's
can't.
ranked at like number two technically, which is kind of
I don't know.
crazy.
I haven't watched it. I can't say whether it's the best anime, the worst anime. It's just the anime.
But it is
It
interesting
sounds
enough for me to actually watch this thing, not dub, watch it sub, and on top of that, it's technically an auto anime. So usually things that don't normally add up for me, and I'm willing to actually, watch this mess. And it's
so.
for
So
everything I've been
this was
seeing,
like
it's been
perfect
really good.
storm.
Yeah,
This
perfect
was like the
storm.
perfect storm. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much for
That's
the most part.
that's, that's awesome. It just sounds funny as hell.
No, yeah. And I think, at least for now, I think that's pretty good with what I said right now. Because I don't know some of the other ones I've been watching, when I'll stick with some of them, but by the time I have my next episode, I'll feel pretty good whether or not I'm going to stick with them or whatnot, though. But yeah, those are the three I definitely want to make sure I mention, at least in this episode right here. But that's enough about me. What about you, Stephen? What have you been watching?
Take a wild guess. Nothing.
Nothing.
N- if we're talking TV or anything like that, nothing. I just I watch a lot of YouTube, obviously, but I'm not counting that. I don't know. I watched some speedrun videos the other day, like the world record history of Lego Star Wars: A Complete Saga. Does that count?
I mean, it is something that you technically watched.
Yeah. I watched a Breath of the Wild speedrun where they did all 120 shrines in 4 hours.
Good gracious, bro.
They used a lot of code manipulation to get into shrines early. It's crazy, is what it is.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Well, if that's basically all you've been watching, then that might actually be it for this segment. Then.
It's been yeah. It's well, you kind of carried the segment to be honest. Yeah.
No. And like what I always say at the end of these segments, if you happen to be watching this or not, or watching this, or technically listening to this though, if you happen to ever check out the YouTube side of where I put these podcast episodes up, and if in the comments, if as long as it's something on Crunchyroll, Disney Plus, something where I have access to watching or whatnot though, whoever is the first one to throw up that recommendation, I actually will actually sit down and watch it, and I'll give my little review thoughts on it or whatnot in the next episode. So I always leave that open
Yeah.
in case anybody else happens to put that mess on there. But I'm just saying, I'm just saying.
Something I honestly might plan on watching is I forgot this happened. The Total Drama Island reboot slash new
They
season,
hold on, they made a reboot of that.
or like a new season. More, it's not really like calling it a reboot isn't really a correct description.
I thought they were done with that mess. What the heck?
Yeah, I also thought they were done with MS, but like no, they weren't.
Hmm. Well, shoot. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much it in terms of this show segment right here, though. So we'll go ahead and jump over to our very last segment, that being what you've been playing. All right, so here lately, outside of the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed stuff, which we kind of already gave our impression thoughts on all of that, that's what I've been mostly putting my time up in. But the other thing I think I've been putting my time up in before and after that DLC drop, at least for me, has been the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters. I think at least with my strategy tackling those 6 games, because it's technically 6, I'm gonna do them one by one by one. I'm gonna start off with the oldest ones and work my way up to 6 because I know 6 is technically, I think, what most people. Oh dear, I think it's what most people would consider the top or the most favorite game out of those pre Final Fantasy, everything before Final Fantasy 7 drop. So I've been slowly getting going through that game. Yes, I did manage to actually buy that game physically. Yes, I actually paid that Square Enix tax up on that mess though. But I did want to get this one because shoot, I don't know how, but now this game's valued at just having a baseline copy of that is valued at like roughly about 200 or something dollars. And don't even get me started on those limited editions. That's like almost upwards to like 800 plus, which is kind of crazy though. But yeah, I've been putting a lot of time in Final Fantasy, the first one, and I think outside of that, it's been a little bit of Splatoon 3 here and there. That's what I've been up to. But what about you, Steven?
It's been obviously a lot of Future Redeemed. I've also been playing Advanced Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, and I've liked that a lot. I'm
Oh yeah,
liking Advanced Wars. I never played the original.
go ahead and break that one down. Because if I would have had it, I would have talked about it. Because I know that's a game that
So
recently came out. But your short little impressions on that.
So I very much like the game. It's a strategy game where you're given you're given different challenge, at least in the campaigns, because each game has a campaign, and that's kind of the main event. You're given your certain amount of units. They give you a specific loadout, and you try to face you just face the enemy. It's all about position. It's all about strategy. If you've played Fire Emblem, you get the main logistics, but it's a lot less focused on like unit against unit and more focused on your placement and developing a strategy around the placement of your units more than a specific unit getting the upper hand.
Hmm.
You'll have each of your characters that you play as, like your commanding officers, your COs. They all have different powers that can enhance like the playing field in different ways. There's different weather effects that can be induced. There's like a fog effect that can you have to move forward, see more ahead of you. There's a lot of interesting stuff that they slowly teach you throughout the campaign of the game. And I'm only about 30% through the campaign of the first game, but I am very much enjoying what I like so far as just an entry level strategy game for me.
Oh yeah, which is kind of nice because I guess they had to differentiate it enough at the time when Advance Wars came out versus Fire Emblem, which Fire Emblem is your more over the top strategy RPG. But I felt like at least with Advance Wars, looking at it at surface level, it's kind of like it's a good strategy game that kind of get your foot in the door without jumping into the deep end of the pool. Because like you're not worrying about leveling up like what you said or whatnot. It's just kind of using the resources you have
It's
to see
more
if you can
pick up
trump
and
the
play.
other AI or whatnot. Which also, y'all said that there's PvP up in this one because I think what you and Sonic played some rounds.
Yes. So there is PvP and there is online. It's very good. Me and Sonic spent about 2 hours going back and forth before he just surrendered.
Oh, good gracious! Which
It
could
was
you
very
technically
fun.
have a game that never ends because you could technically form bases or whatnot that technically will respawn more of your units. Correct?
Yeah, which is what Sonic was doing. He was just constantly spawning more, and it was just unlucky for me because I had the exact wrong hero to deal with it. Like
Hmm.
what he was doing was something that I just could not counter in the slightest. But it was very fun all the same. It was just a nice little, it's a fun game. It's just pick up and play is the best way I would describe it. It's not as complex as something like Fire Emblem. If you go into it with that mindset, you'll probably not enjoy it much. But it's charming. It's got great 2D animations in it as well.
Yeah, because it's made by Way Forward, which
Yeah,
we've
they
seen a lot of
do.
their games.
Yeah, they usually do a pretty good job in the animation department more
But
than anything. Yeah.
yeah, because it seems like they put a lot of life and stuff. At least for some of the trailers and stuff I've seen. I hate how, man, Advance Wars has such like a poor release time in terms of them dropping their games. Because there's always something
Well,
that happens. Like the
well, guess
first one
what?
was
It was
around like 9/11 or something like that. It's just really unfortunate
yeah,
way how they drop these games.
not much they could do this time. There was kind of an event that happened when it was supposed to launch. Who shall not be named. Just no, wasn't really a good idea for them to release it last year. Let's just say that.
Oh yeah, it's a real world events that kind of kept it from coming out though. But finally, we got this game out there, and for those that like kind of collecting some stuff, you might want to try to pick this one up physically because little cases like that, how Nintendo can just like, you know what, we're just gonna snap our fingers and we're gonna make it act like this game ain't gonna have a lot of fanfare on it
Yeah,
because of unfortunately due to world events or whatnot. This might be a one that you might want to get physical.
they did advertise it a decent amount, and they have been releasing videos on their channel about it on YouTube.
Yeah.
So this isn't like their other one and done releases. Like they actually pushed it back for a reason this time from what I'm gathering.
Hmm. No, yeah.
Obviously, I don't know if you've seen this. A couple months back, someone was actually able to open the game. Like they were able to get in somehow because they had it preloaded, obviously.
Oh, you're talking about the whole year ago, whenever that one person managed to get
Yeah,
up in it, and then Nintendo revoked their act.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember that. No, if I was
that was
that
so
person,
funny.
if I were that person, I was like, that's not supposed to be out. Nintendo or any kind of company, whether it be Sony, Microsoft, they could technically do that. Hey, if they would have flipped their switch, I don't know if they had multiple switches or whatnot though, but if they would have flipped their switch into airplane mode, they would have been perfectly fine. Because then there would have been no way Nintendo would have technically, once they validated that key unlock thing and then flipped it back to airplane mode, there would have been no way for Nintendo to force them to actually get back out of them without them actually showing up at the house, which that would have been interesting though. But if they would have flipped it to
Well,
airplane
it's
mode,
fucking incredible.
I would have did that. I would have booted up one of my secondary switches, thrown it in airplane mode, and played through the whole thing, capture all the footage and all that mess, and then I probably would have had some videos ready for it. And then when the day that they actually decide to actually launch it, then I would throw stuff up there real quick. That would have been me personally. But yeah.
Well, at least for me, I would have like fed. Well, no, other people would have like fed all the details anonymously, or you could have just joked around and been like, "Oh, what if I was playing it this entire time?" Haha, just kidding.
No, yeah, it'll have been one or the other though. But at least now you can finally play it. Eventually, I kind of want to get my hands on it at some point. It's just there's so much stuff I have in my backlog and games I kind of want to
Well,
play. Like right now, I still hadn't finished the Fire Emblem DLC for the fellow Xenologue. I
yeah.
just finished the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 thing, and I'm almost to the end of one of the Final Fantasy games right there. That's not even including all these other games I got in my backlog for the PS5 side of things. And I got a few that I hadn't even touched on my Switch side of things. And then you got Tears of the Kingdom coming out in the next couple of weeks. And then a little later on in July, then you have Pikmin 4 and whatnot, though. So I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I got to knock out here, but that's just currently where I'm at with most of the stuff I got to play.
Yeah. This entire time we've been talking, I've been trying and failing to beat this unique monster. It's that's been what I've been playing.
Mhm. But
I
yeah,
went, obviously recently I did like do a whole revisit playthrough of Breath of the Wild, and enjoyed it a decent amount.
which honestly, I feel like I should mess around with Breath of the Wild just a little bit, just to kind of get back in the spirit of things. But I did hear from somebody that did a preview event or whatnot, though. That actually kind of messed them up because I guess there's a lot of different extra buttons and controls you got to do for recall, ultra hand, fuse, and all this extra stuff that probably got in the way with the conventional scheme that you probably have for Breath of the Wild. So I'm like, I kind of want to just
Well,
run
yeah, they
around in the
literally.
world, but not do too much. I don't know.
Well, no, we know that they swapped around buttons because the map is actually part of the rune menu now.
Yeah. So, oh yeah, because I think it's like what you use A B X Y. I know you use like all the buttons on the D pad, and I'm pretty sure with all of
Well,
this,
no,
you
like
probably be using
like
all Z L Z R L and R. You're gonna be using almost every
wait,
button that's on that controller.
yeah. Because if I had to make a guess, there's probably gonna be an extra button to just to do like a shortcut for fusing. Like when you're pulling out, it would be kind of annoying if every time you pulled out your bow to fuse an arrow to something, you had to like switch to the fuse rune or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're probably gonna have a shortcut thing for it. If I had to make.
Hmm. Well, I think that's pretty much it in terms of most of the stuff we've been going through and playing. And honestly, now I'm going back and looking at all of it. Yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of this episode for my ZardCast episode 55. I felt like there wasn't a lot of stuff that happened within the past few weeks. Oh, and I did say I was going to give a quick nod to yes, we did have a PlayStation State of Play event for Final Fantasy 16. I just hadn't personally sat down to actually see all the footage yet. So I feel like I probably will get that game. It's just I don't know if I'll get it at launch. And then we also had a Capcom presentation for Street Fighter 6, which yeah, they did confirm they did drop a demo, just a little sneak peek or whatnot. Though I'll probably mess around with that demo here in an upcoming video
They
here soon or
confirmed
something like that.
Akuma coming to that game as well.
Oh yeah. So yeah, so there's some nice stuff with that, and then we also had a indie world presentation, which honestly, when I was looking back at that, there wasn't a lot of games that kind of screamed that out at me where I was like, "Oh, get this," because I felt like it's been a while since they had an indie presentation where I actually kind of felt like, oh, I might actually want to kind of try that out or, give that a second look or whatnot, though. But yeah, there was a few other events that actually happened within the span of a few weeks that I'll just, give a quick nod to or whatnot. But outside of that, that's pretty much it. But, Steven, let the fine viewers know where they can find you at.
You can find me in the outer reaches of the planet Earth. My Twitter handle is at Steven Jr. 1231 on Twitter, at
All right.
least currently.
All right. Wait, do you have a YouTube channel up now? Or you're still trying to
Working
work on
on it.
that? You're still working
Working
on
on it.
it. Okay. Okay. So whenever you do, you'll be able to announce that. All right. All right. Well, outside of that, though, Stephen, it was very nice to have you on the podcast once again. Once again, I give my applause out for you, though, returning back for back to back weeks. So I really appreciate that, man. But I guess that's pretty much going to do it in terms of my episode 55. So if you happen to be watching this here live on YouTube, make sure to go and hit that like button. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell. That way you can stay up to date on all things video game related. I feel like talking about and discussing. If you haven't been listening to this on one of my podcast servers, whether it be Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon Music, yes, you could even listen to me on in your car radio with iHeartRadio or whatnot. Though, whatever way you happen to be listening to me on this, though, make sure you hit the like button there. If you're able to give a review out or whatnot, be greatly appreciated. Just let people know that I'm just a guy just talking about video game stuff and pop culture stuff here and there, though. Just whatever I kind of feel like talking about, though. But yeah, that's basically going to do it in terms of my episode 55. So remember, y'all, until where video I make next and until my ZardCast episode 56, I'll see y'all later.